Well, I think we'll get started. Thank you guys for coming this morning. And it was kind of short notice, but I had just seen this myLIBRO presentation last week, I think, Mike, right?
Yes.
And I thought it was just really interesting. And I thought maybe if I could jump on it right now, and if Mike had availability, that we could get him to come and do a little program for us. So this is Mike Rossetti. Is that right, Mike?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. Again, joining us from Florida, so it's a little bit hotter there. Sorry. And he's going to talk about myLIBRO, which is a digital engagement app that Mike will tell us all about. And it allows patrons, though, to search, reserve, schedule pickups, things like that. So a little bit different than just maybe using, your library's interface on your phone. So I'll turn it over to you, Mike.
Okay. Thanks, Kate. That was a great intro. You actually summed it up really well. A digital engagement app. I like that. I like the way you put that. So I'll talk. First of all, thank you all for having me here today. I appreciate the chance to chat with you. Michigan's near and dear to my heart. My wife's from Jackson, Michigan, and as I was telling Kate, we get up there pretty often. We used to live in Indiana. Our company is based in Indianapolis, and we moved to Florida about 4 years ago. So don't get up your way quite as often as we used to, but still every few years or so. But very happy to talk to you today about myLIBRO. It's been on the library market for about 3.5 years. myLIBRO is part of a larger company called ConverSite.ai that actually works in the supply chain space and brings easy data visualization to supply chain companies. So the reason, and I'm not sure I told this on the webinar, Kate, but the reason myLIBRO came about actually in a very interesting way. Our founders of the company never really intended for this to be a big marketplace or never expected this to be a big product on the market. Our founder, our CEO's son at the time, was 8 years old and is a big public library user in Columbus, Indiana. And as they were developing the technology for the supply chain solution, he was kind of talking to his dad one day and he said, it'd be really cool if I could just ask Alexa to search the library for books I want to check out and place a hold. And Dad, Ganesh, our CEO, said, that's a really cool idea. Let's just kind of work on that as a side project. They partnered with a local library in Columbus, Indiana, and said, there's some real use for this. It helps from an ADA compliance standpoint in that it's able to satisfy some voice requirements and take care of people who are sight impaired or have difficulty with screens. And they said it's also just really cool, to be able to jump on Alexa and say, search for books by John Grisham, have a list read to you, say hold option 2, and be able to go from there. So myLIBRO was started very slowly. We had a few partner libraries in that year. Iowa State University came to us and said, we're trying to build an Alexa skill. We saw you already have one. Can we partner together? And of course, when one university does something, the other one in the state comes right behind it and says, we'd like to do that too. So suddenly we had 2 universities working with us in the fall of 2018. 19 moved along slowly. We added about 30 or 40 libraries during the course of the year. And of course, then we got into 2020 and about 3 months in, COVID hit. So at that time, we had about 40, 50 public libraries, maybe 10 or 12 academic partners, and said, what the libraries need now as COVID started. And of course, the first thing that came up was we have to start curbside scheduling because patrons can't come into the building. And then we want to be able to schedule for a few in-library services in places where they can come in. So myLIBRO was very quick to react. We brought those features. We quickly added things like self-checkout and appointments and reservations and scheduling capabilities, and really empowered the libraries very quickly. Well, that led to a huge growth year for us. We went from about 50 public libraries at the beginning of 2020 to almost 250 by the end, and we've already added another 150 libraries so far this year. So the growth's been exciting, but really what that's led to is a lot of great conversations with your colleagues throughout the country. And with those conversations, we started talking a lot in the 3rd and 4th quarter of last year about goals. what do you want things to look like at your library once you come out of COVID? What have you learned as you move through all the processes and the changes that we had last year? And I know, unfortunately, in a lot of areas, we're having to go back to some of those processes now with the emergence of the Delta variant and everything else that's happened. So we still have a lot of these great conversations with our libraries. And one of the things we've heard over and over again is, we really got to find ways to increase circulation again, back to pre-COVID levels. When our patrons are able to come into the building, we want them to feel comfortable. We want it to be safe. We want them to be able to interact with the library in as many of the ways as they used to be able to before all this started. I think last year, a lot of libraries around the world actually learned how important digital resources are, digital products, things like that. And they said, if we can find ways to better position those so that the usage increases we saw in those continue, while at the same time we bring back usage of physical resources and books and materials and things like that, that would be great. And then the last goal we heard was, we really want to streamline our services. We need to make this easier on our staff. They're tired. They've had to work extremely hard. It's been stressful. How can we make things easier for our staff and for our patrons at the same time? If there's any questions, feel free to pop things up in the chat, or we'll certainly have some time at the end for a question and answer as well. So as I mentioned, big growth year last year, a lot of growth so far this year, which has led to some new enhancements, some new features. And what myLIBRO has always done is, from the very start, connected to library ILSs. So I believe most, if not all, of your libraries use the LS2 solution, the TLC LS2 solution. I believe we're the only third-party app provider that integrates with LS2. We're a partner of theirs, so we've actually found ways to work around what were at one time fairly limited API situations for that connectivity. So all the features you'll see in our app today are available through LS2. If anybody uses an ILS other than LS2, feel free to throw that up, but I know in a lot of consortiums it's a shared one. Let's see if we do have something in the chat right now. We have a number of different ILS. Good. Well, we are not a shared. Well, that's good to know, Kate. Thanks. So I believe there's only a couple that we haven't integrated with, so we can certainly have that conversation for anybody who's interested. Biblionics Apollo is good. That's one we do integrate with. If there's any others that you want to throw out, Verso's good. I think the only ones I know, there's an academic library, an academic one that we don't integrate with, I think, is primarily K through 12. And then there might be one other, Atrium, I think is the difficult ILS. So other than that, I think we work with all of them. What myLIBRO does, though, and really where it's headed towards, is becoming an all-in-one app experience. So right now, obviously, libraries have a multitude of apps. Many libraries are Overdrive customers or Cloud Library customers, or maybe they have a Hoopla app, or maybe they have an app for Flipster or something like that. Our goal is to bring as many of the functionalities that exist in multiple apps now into one app. And with the release of myLIBRO 3.0 back on July 1st, when we've been able to do a lot of that, we'll continue to be adding others over the course of the next year or so. So what we do is we connect to your ILS, which allows full catalog search by author, title, subject, or keywords, full account management capabilities. So the patron authenticates one time with their library card. That allows them to manage their entire account as well as the other accounts in their household. So they can add multiple cards to the app, manage their spouse or the children's accounts so that they can handle all the renewals and everything from one mobile device. They link to downloads of audiobooks and ebooks. We've partnered with both Overdrive and Cloud Library, and just recently started bringing the play of audiobooks from Overdrive and Cloud Library through the myLIBRO app. We'll also continue to work to bring things like ebooks and other offerings. Now that Overdrive owns RB Digital, I think there's going to be some more opportunities there soon for magazines and other things like that as well. Again, with the goal of continuing to bring more content from one app. To these partners of ours like Overdrive, their big goal was to bring audiobook play through the Alexa smart speakers. And that's something that'll be coming soon that our team's working on now. What that'll do essentially is allow a patron to start an audiobook in the Overdrive app or the myLIBRO app, listen to it while they're on the go. And when they get home, say, Alexa, open myLIBRO, play my audiobook, and it'll pick up right where they left in the app. So obviously more usage for Overdrive and Cloud Library, easier access for your patrons. Just more digital access means more usage. During COVID, we released a notification system that was primarily used for things like closures and programs last year. What we're starting to see now, especially through the summer, is the notification system being used for other things like announcing programs or events coming up at the library, announcing all the good things that are taking place in the library news. You're really just limited by your imagination and how you use that notification system. This is where myLIBRO kind of goes beyond just being a access to the catalog product now. We also tie into your library events and programs calendars. So we pull right from your website, or if you're using a Demco or an Evanced or something like that, we pull right from those feeds as well. You don't have to do any other work. It's just one more place that patrons can find out what's going on at the library, whether they're virtual events or in-person events. We bring space reservations for those events and programs, as well as your rooms, computer labs, and anything else that you want to take appointments for, whether it's curbside service or meeting rooms. We have libraries that are offering assistance getting signed up for vaccines, especially back when you had to get in line, passport photos, all of those types of things that you might take an appointment for, you can do. You control everything through the app, through the administrative portal. You can ask questions about the library, like hours, policies, locations, etc. And with myLIBRO 3.0, there was really a movement to kind of move away what I showed on the previous screen, keep all of those features, but also start to bring things that made the app even more immersive. And like I said, we released this on July 1st. We're about 2 months into this now. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from our patrons and libraries, not just about what they like, but about what they want to see next. And that's really helped us to continue to develop our roadmap. I always emphasize we're a technology company. We work with libraries because we've talked to a lot of libraries. We've gotten great feedback from your peers. And so it's really librarians around the country that have built the myLIBRO app. So what 3.0 does is bring a much more immersive patron and student experience. There's definitely a lot more in here that's going to appeal to younger audience. It's still easy to use, which we saw a lot of usage in the, I'd say 40 to 65 ranges last year, based on feedback that we got from our libraries. But they wanted to see, more that even students can use. And a lot of our libraries started saying, when we get to next summer, it would be great if we had one more way to help us manage summer reading and get our students involved in things like that. So much of our development roadmap has that focus on it. With that, we'll be able to allow our libraries to do things like reading streaks and games and contests and other things that make this fun for patrons and make them want to use the app more and make them want to interact with the library more. We start to pull book recommendations. These pull right from the ILS initially, and really the next few goals are kind of aimed at those circulation increase goals that we talked about. So the next few features are completely aimed at trying to get patrons to check out things that maybe they weren't even looking for when they came into the app the first time. And I was actually on a call about a week ago where a librarian said, I had a patron said to me, this app's dangerous. I'm booking more things than I ever have because it's so easy and because it's just fun to kind of flip through, read about these different books I've never even heard of, place holds on them, put them on my wish list, anything like that. So some of our libraries are even doing staff recommendations. You'll notice when we go on to the app here in a few minutes, it looks a lot of our libraries have said, boy, this looks like a mobile discovery layer. We can do much more than just push out what the app already provides. We can also throw things up from our website, expose new resources, make sure that patrons are aware of everything that's going on at our library. So with those book recommendations, we're also bringing program recommendations. In the next release of the app, patrons are going to be able, if they want to indicate their interests and hobbies. And whenever a new program hits the calendar that aligns to those interests and hobbies, they can receive a notification saying, here's something new that you might want to check out. We brought through the new app category search, which is something that wasn't included in the old version. And this is obviously very helpful to anybody who's doing any kind of research or reference. As well as a patron wish list. So if you've ever used Goodreads or some of those other reading apps that are out there, the patron wish list is a way for them to kind of build out the things that they want to check out in the future, even if it's a book that maybe is a couple months away from release. So they can build out their wish list, get a notification when it becomes available, and easily place a hold. Chat with a Librarian is new in the new app, and it'll be released here in the next month or two. This is actually a live chat, similar to what you see in a lot of front pages of websites. Libraries can opt into or out of any of these features. You don't have to employ all of these. You can turn on and off whatever you like. If it's not something you have the staff for now, but want to offer later, you can turn this on. And this will basically, when a patron has a question about the library, they can just start a live chat during business hours and have a text conversation with the staff at the library. We've brought self-check features to all of our libraries that do not have RFID. So currently there's no way through the myLIBRO app to deactivate RFID, but if you don't have that or are moving away from that, the self-check features are available immediately. What's nice about this, and the reason our libraries wanted this, is because it's a way for you to offer that contactless checkout to patrons without having to lease equipment, worry about upkeep or anything like that. It's all done through the mobile device. They just scan the barcode, hit the checkout button, and walk out of the building with their materials. And it all works directly through the ILS, just like it would normally. We want to look for social media elements. So if patrons could find ways to help the library promote books, resources, materials, things like that, we want the patrons to be able to push out through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, something great that's taken place at the library, or a really good book that they just read or something like that. Continue to help promote. GPS capabilities, for now, these are used essentially to find your nearest libraries, get directions if you need to, but we're working on some pretty cool GPS features with a couple development partner libraries that we'll be announcing pretty soon, really tied to things like shop local and keeping the library even more invested with the community. So we'll have some interesting announcements coming up for that soon. If there's no questions at this point, I'll go ahead and jump into the live app. We'll take a quick look at the mobile. Kate, can you see my mobile screen okay now? Perfect. All right, so let's take a look. This is a Haverhill Public Library in Massachusetts. We'll look at a couple different libraries today because these are a couple different ILSs that they're using. The first thing that you'll notice is the customization that we've brought in the new version of the app. So you'll be able to push out photos of your library. These are changeable. So if you want to change these by season, by month, however often you want to change the view, you can do this. Currently, we changed this for you, but very soon libraries will be able to just change these photos out on their own in the app. This does create a digital version of the library card. So if a patron doesn't have their physical library card, they can actually use their mobile device to check themselves out, to check out in the library as well. Quickly here on the library card, you'll notice the first thing that they can do is they authenticate one time with their library card information and PIN. We always mention the security aspect here. All of our patron information between the ILS and myLIBRO is completely encrypted, so we don't have access to any patron data. We don't see what they're reserving. We don't see obviously any of their personal information. The only thing that we get is number of searches, number of holds, things like that we can share with you for statistical usage standpoints. They set their settings. So if they want to connect to that Alexa device, they get a one-time authentication code here and can read that into the Alexa device. So they can use many of these features through Alexa as well. There's an active mic listening component for anybody who's sight impaired or wants to just use this in a voice sense. They can have audible chat responses read to them. And there's different scheduling elements here that are available as well. As far as a usage standpoint, really quickly on the library card, I can click on the first button and quickly check my, click on the first button and quickly check all my holds and my account information. So these are things that I have available for pickup. And of course, we're having a difficulty here. I think the team's doing some updates this morning, so that could be affecting. Let's try this one more time. So I can see everything that I have on hold. I can cancel any holds that I have placed. From a checkout standpoint, I can go in and renew materials. If anything's coming up for renewal, I can check all my items that I have checked out and go ahead and place a renewal if that's needed. So in this case, this book expired a couple of days ago. I need to go ahead and renew that. So all of that account information exists here as well. And then my wish list, which I can easily build out, I can continue to add to, I can remove anything from, I'll be notified if something becomes available and I can quickly place a hold on that as well. This library is not using notifications, but the notification, which I'll show you in another library, sits right here above the categorical search. So from here, patrons can scroll all through the available categories that are in the ILS and search by category if they wish, or they can go in and check out new arrivals to the library, popular books. This library, and I continue to mention, this is where the discovery layer aspect comes in. So after these features, you can pretty much add as much as you want to on this front page. We have libraries that are promoting events and programs here. Some libraries you'll see that will go through are doing blogs, they're pushing out other digital resources. You can really do as much with this front page as you wish. Moving through the main menu down here, we'll go into our search category. You'll notice that the search for the patron is caching all their recent searches and their recently viewed items. So if they want to go back and look at something they were looking at a few days ago or a week ago, it's very easy for them to scroll through and look at their different offerings and see what they have available. We'll just do a quick author search. Let's do Stephen King today. And you'll notice as I start to type in names, it's bringing up suggested authors. And I'll go ahead and hit the search button. So now I can just quickly look at the different books that I might be interested in. I can search by type, so whether it's an audio book or a physical book. And just by clicking on this now, I can read the full book description, find out all the ISBN information, location information in the library, if that's available, anything like that. And then I can either click the ribbon up here to add this to my wish list, or I can click the hold button to place a hold. You'll notice you get a success button whenever there's a problem with this hold, or whenever there's not a problem with the hold. If there are any issues, it'll let the patron know that as well. The chat feature, and this is where myLIBRO kind of starts to divert away a little bit from some of the other library apps that are out there. So this is actually a virtual assistant in the app. And from here, a lot of our patrons that maybe are more used to working with Siri or Google or those types of features use this as their primary aspect of the app. And we have this menu here to show all the different things that you can do from this aspect. You can actually check any of your account information. You can search the ILS. You can find out about upcoming events and programs, ask for library information, switch over to different patrons if you're managing others in your household. All of those things can be done here from the virtual assistant component as well. And this is very similar to how the Alexa feature works too. You just simply ask a question, it gives you an answer. On the scheduling features, if you're doing curbside pickup still, which I know we have a number of our libraries that are still doing curbside, it probably wasn't as important through the summer as it's going to be coming back into winter time now for those that are offering it. But this allows full scheduling capabilities. If the patron has items ready for pickup and you offer curbside service, they can schedule that, and that's going to actually enable your library to manage everything through a personalized portal that'll show you a schedule of everybody who has things to pick up that day. It'll show when they're coming in, and it'll basically adapt to any processes that you set in your library. It's completely controlled by you through the administrative portal. For those that want to schedule an appointment or a visit to the library, you'll see I've already booked one that's passed now, and that will go away once the library clears that or I clear that off. But if I want to schedule a new visit, you can choose any resource that's offered in the library. So this particular library is offer everything from study rooms to kids' rooms to computers or even browsing appointments if they're still managing capacity. These are all controlled by you. You type in whatever these resources are called. You set your capacities, your parameters, everything like that, very simply and easily. So we'll just go ahead and schedule one of those. I'll just set that up for a study room. It asks for my preferred date and time, which it'll only show those that are available based on the parameters that you set. We'll set that up for noon today. And ask if I have any special needs in terms of maybe assistance by a librarian or anything like that. You can offer those types of things here as well. I'll continue to confirm the schedule. And once I confirm that, you'll notice that's been scheduled. That's going to come into your library queue now so that the staff will see that somebody has scheduled a visit. They'll get an email notification and they'll be able to prepare for that visit or that service that's being offered. One other thing I'll show at the bottom, this library does not offer the self-check feature, but I believe Rutherford does down in North Carolina. So you'll see if you do offer the self-check feature, that's going to bring a fifth item down here to the main menu, the checkout item. And when a patron clicks on that, they're going to be able to scan the barcode on the back of a material, just add that to their cart, hit the checkout button, and they'll be able to fulfill the self-check as well. So that's kind of a quick overview of the platform. I'd love to hear any questions that you have maybe about the physical app or anything else that you have in terms of the staff experience. Everything that we offer, as I mentioned, is controlled by the administrators in each individual library. You have your own administrative portal that you'll be able to use. You will have a real-time dashboard that shows all of your appointments for both curbside and in-library appointments. You'll have access to a reportage dashboard that'll show all of your usage metrics in terms of number of holds being placed, number of services being fulfilled, your busiest days and times of the week for your appointments or curbside or anything like that. And as I mentioned, we're always adapting to what our libraries are looking for. So whatever you need, if there's something that's missing or you need something a little more personalized, our team is always willing to work with you. From that standpoint, we offer a full marketing and promotional support, digital marketing kit that's there to help you announce this out to patrons, share the word in your community about this new app that's available, and new ways that patrons can participate and engage with the library. Any questions?
Mike, I've got one. So you had talked about you can turn things on or off if you don't want to use them, or if you do want to use them. Is that then based on cost too? I mean, do you have different levels of the app?
We do. We have a really two levels of the app that are offered now. The thing that we've learned working with most of these libraries is because it is an engagement tool, the full service we've tried to price in a way that's affordable for libraries and that they can adapt the app as they need to. So the full package includes everything I showed you today. We do have a watered down that includes just the ILS connection and the scheduling services. It wouldn't include any of the events and programs. There's a price difference, but not a huge one there, because we really like that. We think the libraries that we see the most usage out of are the ones that have the full service, that have as much as they can for the patrons in that app.
And the price is based on active card holders?
Correct. So most of our libraries give us a 12-month figure of active card holders, people that have engaged with the library, used the library in some way in the past 12 months. A lot of them are looking at a comparison between maybe the past 12 months and then the 12 months in 2019, just to see how different they are. COVID obviously changed usage numbers for libraries a lot last year. So really, to reflect usage, we just asked them to take a look and give us the most accurate count that they can.
And then for implementation, how long does it take? Because you've already worked with a lot of the ILSs, there's probably a lot of the bumps are out of the way.
Absolutely. The ILS part takes typically no more than a week to 2 weeks. If the library has, if you're using LS2, we pretty much jump in and we just get the library authentication information. We have a couple test barcodes created by the library, so we can do some testing. So that part's about a week to 2 weeks. If your ILS has APIs and you already have those APIs, that makes it even faster. If the ILS does not have APIs like LS2, we know we've already worked with the workarounds and we know how to get that implemented. After we do the ILS connection, then we jump into the secondary aspects like the events and programs, Overdrive, or any of those other things that we talked about today. So it's kind of done in a phased approach, but you can launch as soon as that ILS is up and running. Patrons can start using the app, and then the new enhancements will just come as they're ready.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions. If anybody else has questions, either throw it in the chat or you can unmute. And
Are you all members of MCLS too?
not everybody is a member
Okay.
of MCLS. Yeah.
Okay. So we have worked, for those that are MCLS members, we've worked with, I'd say 12 or 15 MCLS members that are current customers of ours. We're always happy to provide references or share any information that you might be looking for if you want to talk to some of your colleagues in the state or outside the state as well. We're working with libraries from King County Library System out in Washington down to a couple in Texas that I think have maybe 1,000 or 1,500 service population or active patrons. So we really do run the gamut in terms of how we price this, how we offer these services. So you don't feel like you have to be a big, small, or medium library. There is a fit for everybody. Pricing information, Vicki asked if we can, if you'll just, my email's here. If you want to reach out, say, we'd love to get a quote, saw your demo today. Just send me an email and give me your active patron count, the ILS you're working with, and I'll be happy to provide a quote.
Anybody else have questions? I just think this is really cool. I don't have
Appreciate
Alexa. I'm a little leery about Alexa, but I think this is just a really cool app that I know I would definitely use. And like you had said, somebody wound up using the app a lot to place probably lots of holds and all that because it's so convenient. I think that.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I think there's a big movement in the library industry to improve digital access and mobile access. So that's really our goal. We want to work with libraries to find ways to do that, to get patrons engaged in all types of communities. I think the thing to keep in mind too is that there's going to be so much more coming to this. I think there's a lot of need to bring other services into this and to continue to grow this. So I wouldn't, certainly the people coming in now aren't the early adopters the way those were 18 months ago, but it's still early enough in the game that I think there's a chance to be a part of some really interesting growth and development in the coming years.
And things constantly are changing and upgrading, and as we all know with technology. So, if you can have something that's, already done a lot of that work for you, and then you can just join in, that's awesome. So
absolutely. And to ease concerns, you made a great point. I know there are still a lot of people leery about Alexa. When we first launched myLIBRO, it was based in the Amazon Web Service system. We moved away from that. So myLIBRO is completely its own. Everything that you do now is just between the iOS and myLIBRO. And like I said, it's all encrypted. This is based in our own proprietary system. So it's not, you do not have to have an Amazon account. You do not have to be tied into Amazon in any way unless you go to use that Alexa skill.
Gotcha. Good to know. Well, I did put Mike's email. I know it's on the screen here, but I also put it in the chat with his phone number if you're interested. So, and I would also suggest going to the website. There's a lot of great information on their website, and just just different things to click around and look at. They also have another previously recorded webinar on there as well. So just if you're interested, either reach out to Mike, reach out to me, or head over to their website at mylibro.com and kind of scoot around in there and see what you can find too. And if you have any more questions, let Mike know, let me know. We're happy to try to see if this is good for you. So
perfect.
So if there's no other questions, just thanks so much, Mike, for taking the time this morning with a few of my members, and I really appreciate that. So
Great, thank you all. I appreciate your time today.
Okay, have a good day, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.